Hi there, this is Brian Kinahan with CEO Mastery, where we pull people out. We help move CEOs and entrepreneurs out of the middle of their business to the front, to the leadership front, so that they can grow the business faster, make more money for sure, have less stress, and have more time to do what's important to them. If that sounds interesting to you, check us out on ceomastery.net. Hey, I'm going to talk with you today about how to handle fear. Now, this is a long conversation. I'm just going to cover one small part of it. I imagine you've probably thought about fear and how fear drives so many of our emotions and our decisions. Fear is a big deal, and it's just omnipresent everywhere in our lives. And at times, like right now, this is COVID time, but at all times, there are circumstances, things happen to us, things happen to our business that freak us out, and we're very afraid of them. And I just want to talk about that for a minute. First is take a hint, a suggestion from Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. Read that book. You will not be disappointed. A lot of amazing principles, but one of them is face the brutal facts. You know, sometimes I avoid looking at the brutal facts. And when I feel that I'm doing that, I look at the brutal facts. Why? Because they're not going to go away if we ignore them. And two, because if we look at them, we can do something about them, and we might be able to see that they're not so bad. And certainly if we just ignore them, the problems tend to get worse. I don't know what the stats are. 80% get worse, 20% get miraculously better, but most get worse. So face the brutal facts. If you're afraid of something, face it. That is also basically the definition of courage. Courage is not having fear. Courage, as you may know, is acting in spite of fear, in the face of fear. So one is face the brutal facts. And secondly, and I have a client who really glommed onto this and really loves this metaphor, I guess it is, and that is of the Wizard of Oz. So this relates to really digging in and understanding the consequences of what you're afraid of, or the potential consequences. The point being that sometimes you can handle them. Most of the time, all the time, you can handle them. They're not going to be pleasant. But it's a little like the Wizard of Oz. And if you recall, or as you recall, Oz was a very scary place. And when they got there, and Oz's booming voice was so frightening, they all shaked and they all want to run away. But they didn't. And then eventually they get to where there's the curtain, and they pull back the curtain, and there's a little fearful man, so fearful, with a microphone that makes a big voice. But they said, no, you're not a big scary guy. You're an afraid guy. And so, what is with that? And so that's what a lot of our fears are. But we have to pull the curtain back. Pull back the curtain on what? Pull back the curtain on the ultimate worst case implications of that situation. So the way to do that, in Six Sigma, by the way, there's something called the 5 whys to get to the root of the problem. When somebody says, oh, this didn't work, why didn't it work? Well, because that was broken. Why was it broken? Well, because we didn't have the parts. Well, why didn't we have the parts? Same idea. In this case, it's, well, if this happens, then this will happen to me. Okay, great. Like if this customer drops us, well, we're going to lose 30% of our business. Ooh, okay. Then what will happen? Well, then we're going to have less revenues. Okay, then what will happen? Well, then we'll probably end up losing money for the, going forward. Oh, well, then what'll happen? Oh, then we'll have to make some cuts. Okay, then what? Well, that'll be painful. Then what? Well, then I'll make them. Then what? Well, then we might get back to break even. Can you live with that? Can you live with that? And the answer is typically yes, I can live with that. I'm not embracing it. I don't want it. I don't like it. But you know what? I can live with that. And let's face it, Being an entrepreneur, being a CEO is all about weathering the storms. Nobody goes out to the Pacific Ocean on their way to God knows where, to Japan or whatever, and has, endless sunny days. It just doesn't happen. So let's forget about it. Let's look at that storm warning and let's prepare our ship for it, and let's not whine about it. So anyway, pull back the curtain. Feel fear. We feel fear in our bodies. If you feel fear, don't just suppress it or ignore it or do whatever. Just go, okay, cool, fear. That's fantastic. Warning sign, problem. Let's look at the problem. Face the brutal facts. Great. What are the implications? Pull back the curtain all the way to maybe the Wizard of Oz, that fearful person that really isn't a problem. Realize you can handle it, and maybe painful, and this is another topic I'll cover some other time, but pain is inevitable, suffering optional. We'll cover that some other time. Well, thank you for watching that video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to talk with me about helping you, please go ahead and schedule a time by clicking on the link below. I look forward to it.